to another episode of EveryRing That's Everything Wrestling. This week, in like the passing of the Immortal Hulk Hogan, we'll look into something he has his hands in. What if the New World Order NWO never formed in WCW? The wrestling landscape would have been significantly different, potentially impacting the Monday Night Wars and the trajectory of both WCW and WWE. Without the Wo's disruptive and captivating storyline, WCW might not have achieved the sustained ratings dominance it experienced from 1996 to 1999, and WWE might not have been forced to drastically alter its creative direction to compete. Here's a more detailed breakdown. Impact on WCW. Reduced ratings success. The Wo's innovative storyline and charismatic characters, particularly Hulk Hogan's heel turn, were major drivers of WCW's ratings success during the Monday Night Wars. Without the NWO, WCW might have remained a strong promotion, but it's unlikely they would have consistently beaten WWE in the ratings for as long as they did. Different creative direction. The NWO forced WCW to rethink its wrestling philosophy, leading to a more edgier, modern product. Without the NWO, WCW might have continued with a more traditional, Southern-style wrestling approach, potentially becoming less appealing to a wider audience. Uncertain future. The Wo's storyline eventually contributed to WCW's decline due to overexposure and creative stagnation. Without the NWO, WCW might have found other ways to evolve, or it might have faded away sooner due to other factors, such as Turner Broadcasting's potential lack of commitment to the wrestling business. WWE. No need for radical change. WWE, under Vince McMahon, was initially slow to react to the Wo's success. However, the Wo's popularity forced McMahon to make drastic changes, leading to the Attitude Era, with characters like Stone Cold Steve Austin and D-Generation X. Without the NWO, WWE might have continued with a more family-friendly product for a longer period. Potential for bankruptcy. WWE was in a precarious financial position in the mid-1990s, and the Wo's success in WCW was a major catalyst for their own creative shift. Without the NWO, WWE might have faced a more difficult path to recovery, or even bankruptcy. No Attitude Era, as it's known, the competition from WCW, driven by the Wo's popularity, pushed Vince McMahon to innovate and create a more edgy, adult-oriented product. The Attitude Era, with characters like Stone Cold Steve Austin, DX, and The Rock, largely resulted from WCW's success. This would be the biggest factor. Vince would not have competition and wouldn't have to evolve. No Stone Cold and Battle of the Millionaires would be a big impact that could have rippled into today. Different wrestling landscape. The Wo's impact on wrestling culture was significant, influencing not just storylines but also the overall presentation of wrestling. Without the NWO, the wrestling landscape in the late 90s and beyond might have been significantly different, with less emphasis on edgy, anti-establishment characters and storylines. In essence, the Wo's emergence was a pivotal moment in wrestling history. Its absence would have meant a drastically different path for both WCW and WWE, potentially leading to a less dynamic and competitive wrestling landscape. Also a positive would be no Vince Russo, and the domino effect would be something interesting. Wo's dominance allowed for Scott Hall and Kevin Nash to spread their wings. Without such, it could have been cataclysmic. AEW. This again would be circumstantial. The easy answer would be AEW development earlier, because when discussing TNA, the reasons would be more obvious. NWO dominated for a long time, so the group was impactful. No NWO would possibly mean no Crow Sting, so that facet could have meant an earlier retirement or zero growth of a character. And we all saw what Sting's last run was amazing in AEW, but it could have possibly never been. No NWO would mean WWE wins the competition and possibly no need for the alternative. Wrestling following the logarithms could have been catastrophic. Wrestlers in WCW could have just been lost in the shuffle, the same that helped AEW. The likes of Arn Anderson in the beginning, Dean Malenko and others, even the broadcasting realm could have been affected, with Tony Schiavone not wanting to still be part of the business. No Attitude Era would ultimately affect the general stance of AEW in general. Their swearing and finger-sticking could have never been, again making AEW not being necessary or ever coming to fruition. TNA, impact on WCW's success. No ratings dominance. The NWO, particularly in its initial phase with the unexpected heel turn of Hulk Hogan, was instrumental in WCW's surge in popularity and the company's 83-week winning streak against Monday Night Raw during the Monday Night Wars. WCW may not have reached such heights. Without the NWO angle, WCW might not have achieved the level of cultural relevance and powerhouse status it enjoyed from 1996–1999, according to a Reddit thread. Alternative storylines. WCW would have likely pursued different storylines and relied on its existing stars like Sting and Lex Luger, notes Quora. Whether these would have captivated audiences as strongly is a matter of speculation. This could have meant Jerry Jarrett and Jeff Jarrett buying WCW because of the failure, which means TNA would never have been. Jerry Jarrett wanted to buy WCW and with no success, it would have been rock bottom in value. The Jarretts buying WCW could have gone one of two ways. 1. WCW would eventually become what we know as TNA. As mentioned in an earlier What If, Jerry emphasized athletic and fast-paced wrestling, so the X division could have been developed earlier and the likes of AJ Styles, Jay Lethal and whatnot being pushed earlier. 2. Taking a big risk and unfortunately not creating the obvious alternative. This would have been a disaster because money would have dried out and a lot of wrestlers affected. Ric Flair was already at odds and his age would be a factor. He could have been forced to retire. This disingenuous feeling could have affected Charlotte Flair for wanting to become a wrestler, so at this level alone go back to affect WWE. So TNA would actually be the one company affected most by the NWO. Well, that is another episode of EveryRing. That's everything wrestling. Side note, I wanted to make light of the ugliness of today's society. I said, here on EveryRing, don't condone racism and understand the feelings of many at the passing of Hulk Hogan. Again, you can still not like a person but doesn't mean you should be disrespectful. As a wrestling fan, Hulk Hogan's impact will never be achieved and the future holds a lot to him. So being happy at his death shows a sign of sophomoric stance. Hulk Hogan is more than one stupid event. Worst of all, the disrespect for a person who died is very reflective of a society that has lost its way, then the attacks of people. Chelsea Green had to shut down her media due to idiots. So let's become a better society, again not condoning the behavior of a fallen wrestler but two wrongs don't make a right. Let's go to Ashi for predictions for the two-night SummerSlam.
Hello. So excited for this year's SummerSlam. Many are saying it's going to make up for the dud of WrestleMania 41. So here are the predictions, and to clarify we go through a computer program where each of us Lilith, Harvard, Diablo Angelico, Skylar, and Ravishing Ralph puts into a computer a scenarios and the highest percentage is what we put as our prediction. SummerSlam. Day 1. Sami Zayn vs. Karrion Kross. Zayn has had long-running issues with Kross trying to get Zayn to embrace his darker side. This led to a series of attacks on Zayn across weeks of Raw. Now, the two will look to end things at SummerSlam. Prediction: Karrion Kross wins. Fans are pushing this narrative and it's about time. 2. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso vs. Bron Breakker and Bronson. Reed. Reigns returned to save Punk and Uso from Breakker and Reed after the Raw Gauntlet match. With Rollins sidelined, Breakker and Reed needed a focus, and a tag match with Reigns and Uso fits that bill quite nicely. Prediction: Roman Reigns and Jey Uso get the win but it won't be easy. Added intrigue is next ended with figures appearing with Tony D'Angelo, so he could be an added member, leading to a DQ victory. 3. WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, Judgment Day, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, C. vs. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. 14-time Women's World Champion Flair leveraged her reputation to book a tag team title match against Judgment Day at SummerSlam. Prediction: and new tag champs Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. Returning Liv Morgan has an impact on this outcome. 4. Randy Orton and Jelly Roll vs. Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. Jelly Roll makes his wrestling debut against social media influencer Paul, but both celebrities are equipped with experience. Orton will team with the country singer, while McIntyre sides with Paul. McIntyre may not be available, so there is a possibility of the Miz replacement. Prediction: Randy Orton and Jelly Roll. 5. WWE Women's Championship, Tiffany Stratton, vs. Jade Cargill. Cargill's win over former world champion Asuka is one of the biggest of her career. By winning the match, Cargill guaranteed a SummerSlam title match with SmackDown's world champion. Prediction: and new WWE Women's World Champion Jade Cargill. 6. World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther, vs. CM Punk. Punk won a gauntlet match on Raw to become No. 1 contender to Gunther and the championship. Things got complicated in the title picture when Seth Rollins suffered a knee injury, taking the Money in the Bank contract holder out of action for the foreseeable future. Punk now has another chance to win. Prediction: and new champion CM Punk. Paul Heyman interrupts. Burn it down. Seth Rollins cashes in and thwarts Punk's dreams. Day 2. 1. WWE Tag Team Championship, Wyatt 6, vs. #DE vs. Street Profits vs. Faction vs. Motor City Machine Guns vs. Andrade and Rey Fenix, TLC match, with the tag division heating up on SmackDown. This will steal the show. Prediction: and still tag champs Wyatt 6. 2. Intercontinental Championship, Dominic Mysterio, vs. AJ Styles. Mysterio has been hiding behind a doctor's note declaring him medically unfit to compete. That has allowed him to retain his belt without having to face Styles. Prediction: and still champ Dominic Mysterio. 3. United States Championship, Solo Sikoa, vs. Jacob Fatu. Steel cage match. Sikoa attempted to frame Fatu for a car crash. After learning about Sikoa's deception, Raw General Manager Adam Page, filling in for Nick Aldis, booked Sikoa vs. Fatu in a steel cage. Prediction: and new US champ Jacob Fatu. 4. Women's Intercontinental Championship, Becky Lynch, vs. Lyra Valkyria. Lynch and Valkyria have had a long feud over the title. After a triple threat match also involving Bayley was won by Lynch at Evolution, Bayley and Valkyria had a 2 out of 3 falls match to determine who would face Lynch at SummerSlam. Valkyria got the win and the chance to get revenge on Lynch. Prediction: and new IC champion Lyra Valkyria. Bayley enters the picture and attacks both, a new character in a darker Bayley. 5. Women's World Championship, Naomi, vs. Iyo Sky vs. Rhea Ripley. Ripley and Sky were having an incredible match at Evolution when Naomi cashed in the Money in the Bank contract and won the title. One night later, Adam Page made the SummerSlam triple threat match official, saying the women could make magic and help the box office. Prediction: and still champ Naomi. Stephanie Vaca will address her as they will face off at Clash at Paris. 6. Undisputed WWE Championship, John Cena, vs. Cody Rhodes. Street fight. Cena and Rhodes are running back their WrestleMania main event. At Night of Champions, Rhodes defeated Randy Orton to win the King of the Ring tournament. Rhodes' reward was a match against his brand's world champion at SummerSlam. Prediction: Cody goes all Homelander on Cena. And new undisputed champion Cody Rhodes. Cena sees he was wrong and Cody proceeds to beat him senseless. The card alone is exciting. Only negative: no Raw Tag Titles or Women's US title match on this premium live event. Let's now go to Harvard and the discussion, plus there is something added.
Wow. Another action-packed week in wrestling. WWE continued its honoring of the late Immortal Hulk Hogan with 10 bell salutes on Raw and NXT. Governor DeSantis has declared August 1st will be Hulk Hogan Day. Even Florida Gov. Ron DeSantis is a fan, and he ordered flags to be flown at half-staff Friday for Hulk Hogan Day, to honor the late infamous wrestler and lifelong Tampa Bay resident. Flags were ordered to fly at half-staff at the state capitol in Tallahassee, and at all state buildings, installations and grounds throughout Pinellas County. Congrats in order for WWEID first ever champions. Inaugural WWEID women's and men's champions are crowned. Kylie Rae and Cappuccino Jones became the first to hoist the titles at the GCW Presents WWE ID Showcase in Rutherford, New Jersey. WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque visits the White House today as part of President Trump's signing of an executive order to expand the Presidential Council on Sports, Fitness and Nutrition. Triple H joined several prominent professional athletes for the historic policy announcement. The executive order will re-establish the presidential fitness test in public schools and significantly expand the Sports Council's mandate nationwide. Cody Rhodes makes his big screen debut in Naked Gun 2025, which also stars Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson.
Do this by the book.
Show a little respect. Why?
A recently released WWE NXT star has made his surprise debut for a new promotion. The wrestler formerly known as Oro Mensah appeared at the July 30th Ring of Honor television tapings in Chicago, Illinois. In that note, it's official that Dakota Kai, Katana Chance, Kaden Carter are all free agents. Let's go to Matches of the Week, Wrestlers of the Week and Indie Star of the Week. Matches of the Week. WWE 6-person mixed tag team match. Arch Styles and the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane vs. The Judgment Day, WWE Intercontinental Champion, Dirty, Dominic Mysterio and WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. What a fun display. WWE should do more with mixed gender match and this proves how fun it could be. Javon Evans vs. Wesley. Wow, this match was fast-paced and highlighted the greatness that is Javon Evans is. Just top-notch action. As great as Gilia vs. Zelina Vega was, the AAA tag title match was that much more fun. Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza, with Santos Escobar vs. Mr. Iguana and Psycho Clown, AAA tag team title match. Mr. Iguana really has the crowd behind them and the athleticism was something special. AEW Dynamite AEW World Title Match. AEW Champion Adam Page vs. Jon Moxley. A continuation of violence from All in Texas. Collision. TNT Championship. TNT Champion Dustin Rhodes vs. Kyle Fletcher. A Chicago street fight that was brutally visceral and violent. TNA. X-Division Champion Leon Slater vs. Jason Hodge vs. Cedric Alexander, TNA X-Division Championship. Just crazy match that is equally athletic and gymnastic and chaotic. Leon Slater is the real deal. Wrestler of the Week. WWE. John Cena. That passionate return to form was just legendary. He was always gifted on the mic, so adding another layer of is he or isn't he turning face before he hangs up the boots. AEW. Kyle Fletcher. The new TNT champion Kyle Fletcher. The Protostar is exactly what the future of wrestling has to look future to. TNA. Moose. Garnering the #1 contendership through pinning TNA champion Trick Williams is something interesting. Indie Star of the Week. Ren Jones, the current AAW World Champion who has held the championship since January 2025 after defeating Matt Riddle. All American Wrestling is an American independent professional wrestling promotion, based in the Chicago area, originally holding shows in Berwyn, Illinois. Ren Jones has had appearances in AEW and Raw where he leads the names of possible call-ups. Well, that's another week of wrestling. Chalo kushti karate hai.
Wrestling is something special, as you can see our human element dealt with a lot of superstars. King Kong Bundy, a wrestler deserving WWE Hall of Fame. Sherry Martel was an amazing person who helped revolutionize the women's division. The Crusher, who Milwaukee famous, was a classic star. Puppet the Midget was a bigger-than-life superstar who is both engaging and ahead of his time. Wrestling is life and we want to push it forward.
Thanks for tuning in to Channel 14, Kenosha Community Television. Remember to tune into my program, Just Talkin', shown right here, Tuesday and Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. until 9 p.m. on Channel 14. On the program, we cover community events, talk to nonprofit organizations, and who knows, we may bump into a celebrity now and then. So remember to tune in to Just Talkin' Tuesday and Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. right here on Channel 14.
Kenosha Community Media. For 40 years it entertained, educated and produced local production for the city of Kenosha. Viewers like you not only can watch but be part of the channel by bringing in local flair. Spectrum Channel 14, Roku and Internet. KenoshaMedia.org. 262-564-6103 Address: Southwest Library, The Hub, 7979 38th Street, Kenosha, Wisconsin 53142.
EveryRing. That's Everything Wrestling is carrying out the tradition that was brought to you by Diablo Angelico and Danger Dan. The show must go on. Mondays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 6 p.m. on Kenosha Community Media. Channel 14 with Spectrum or on Roku KCM streaming. With EveryRing. That's Everything Wrestling will keep you updated and informed. Mondays at 5 p.m. Fridays at 6 p.m. Tune in and enjoy wrestling. The renaissance of wrestling is occurring as we speak, so be part of sports entertainment. Each week you can see the discussion with topics, wrestlers and matches of the week. Looking at the big three: WWE, AEW and TNA. So if you enjoy wrestling and everything that makes wrestling special, tune in KCM 14 on Mondays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 6 p.m. EveryRing. That's Everything Wrestling.
Boinker's Cartoon Apocalypse, where classic cartoons are revisited. Saturday at 10 a.m. and Sundays 10:30 a.m. If you enjoy classic and rare cartoons, you go to show. Nigel the Yeti is taking the reins while Mr. Boinkers add to the programming. The likes of Betty Boop, Popeye, Porky Pig, Daffy Duck, Mickey Mouse, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, Felix the Cat and so much more. On Kenosha Community Media Channel 14, sit back with friends and family and relive the magic of morning cartoons. Wake up, gather the family and enjoy cereal and relive one's youth. Mr. Boinker's Cartoon Apocalypse, where whimsy is part of the magic. Join the other circus freaks where cartoons were fun and artistic. Every Saturday at 10 a.m. and Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Enjoy what made mornings special. Mr. Boinker's Cartoon Apocalypse, where classics fill the time.
What the heck are we watching? Movie reviews without pompous and pretentious critics who have agendas. Kenosha Community Media, Fridays at 5 p.m. and Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. Cinephiles who like movies for entertainment and not rants and raves, who make the audiences feel bad for themselves. Weekly discussion on movies and with no alternatives. The movie reviews are to help audiences to make their decision. Not only are modern movies reviewed but a discussion on hidden gems, where good movies that have fallen through the cracks and forgotten. So before you go out, check out What the Heck Are We Watching? On Kenosha Community Media Channel 14. Fridays at 5 p.m. and Saturdays at 10:30 a.m.
Just Turned Heel, hosted by Danger Dan and Diablo Angelico, as seen on EveryRing. That's Everything Wrestling. Behind the curtain look at professional wrestling. A gritty shoot style of interviews where we look at various aspects of wrestling. Ever wanted to know what an indie star needs to do to get their foot in the door? Ever wanted to know what a booker does? Ever wanted to know the purpose of a referee is? Just Turned Heel will plunge into the world of wrestling and look at every facet. Just Turned Heel, YouTube exclusive, starting January 28, 2024.
You haven't seen horror till you've seen horror of the crying skull. See teenagers getting killed. See horror coming at you every scene, and a skull. See the skull coming at you. The skull, and hear her cry. I hope you enjoy the horror of the crying skull.